Welcome to the 7th episode of Rivanna Review, a program of stories, essays, and book reviews. My name is Robert Boucheron.
And I'm Susanna Rosen.
We will be your hosts for a half hour of reading aloud with illustrations and author photographs. The print magazine Rivanna Review is published 4 times a year in Charlottesville, Virginia, on the Rivanna River. I am the editor. The magazine is available in bookstores on the Main Street Mall in Charlottesville and other bookstores in Virginia. You can order a copy or a subscription from the website, rivannareview.com. The magazine has notices about book sales, literary events, and readings. Book reviews are of titles you may not have heard about from small presses and by authors who are not yet bestsellers. To read the books mentioned here, please visit your local bookstore, online bookseller, or the public library. This episode has 2 notices. Asher Sizemore and Little Jimmie were radio stars of the 1930s. Asher published popular songbooks. Christine Sneed is an author today with 2 new books. We then bring you news from Hapsburg, a small town in the Shenandoah Valley that's almost too good to be true. Asher Sizemore and Little Jimmie. Born in Manchester, Kentucky in 1906, Asher Sizemore worked as a bookkeeper for a mining firm in Pike County, Kentucky, and aspired to be a vocalist. In 1931, performing old-time and country music, he made an appearance in the radio in Huntington, West Virginia. He shifted to WCKY in Cincinnati and then to WSM and WHAS in Louisville, where he was joined on air by his son, Little Jimmie, in 1933. The duo appeared at the Grand Ole Opry, where they continued to be popular for a decade. According to Asher, at age 5, Little Jimmie knew over 200 songs. His best-selling record was Little Jimmie's Goodbye to Jimmie Rogers, recorded in 1934. The Sizemores had a program on the NBC network for a short period of time, becoming one of the first Opry acts to have a national program. They left the Grand Ole Opry in 1942 to perform and work throughout the Midwest. They had programs on radio stations in Waterloo, Iowa, Des Moines, St. Louis, and Atlanta. In addition to their program in Louisville, Asher founded a mail-order service for his songbooks. At 32 or 48 pages, the books include mountain ballads, old hymns, children's songs, and cowboy songs. They turn up today in collections of old sheet music and are sold online by used book companies. Titles include Hearth and Home Songs, Favorite Songs, Fireside Treasures, Songs of the Soil, Family Circle Songs, and Songs of the Southland. The Sizemores settled in Arkansas, and Asher died in 1975. Little Jimmie worked for a radio station, performed at country music shows, and died in Oklahoma at the age of 86.
Christine Sneed, a contributor to Rivanna Review, has 2 books coming out in October. Sneed is the author of 4 books of fiction, including The Virginity of Famous Men, a 2016 collection of stories. She is faculty director of Northwestern University's graduate-level creative writing program, and she teaches in the low residency MFA program at Regis University. She lives in Pasadena. Please be advised, this is a novel in memos to and from employees of Quest Industries, a maker of collapsible office products. President Brian Stokerley is the dim-witted author of several memos. Mid-level management and upper-level management issue directives, and the new office manager, Ken Crickshaw Jr., tries to shake things up. The deadpan humor and internal warfare may remind you of The Office, the television show. Memos of footwear, matchmaking, ennui, the Secret Santa gift exchange, and my story, Personal Triumph, are cringeworthy and true to life. Combine corporate culture with too much information. Mix well and enjoy the cocktail. Please note, this book is not safe for work. Love in the Time of Time's Up is a collection of stories by 16 women, edited by Sneed. The title refers to social movements, Me Too and Time's Up, dedicated to helping women deal with sexual harassment. Sneed features works that subverts traditional masculine and feminine roles, rather than blaming men for bad behavior. Desire and intention are clouded by issues of money, status, cultural assumptions, and adolescent experiences. Sneed's story, Potpourri, is the study of a woman confused by all these things. Lucy, age 34, picks up men part-time. Suave young Nico takes her posh apartment, which smelled of some kind of vegetable matter going rotten. The sex is quick and good, and he hands her a $100 bill. Who takes advantage of whom?
Scenic overlook. Take a spin on the Skyline Drive on top of the world and pull over at the scenic overlook. Far below, see a patchwork quilt of plowland, orchards, woods, and water. Breathe the fresh air, listen to the songbirds, cattle and sheep, graze rolling fields, and horses trot in paddocks. No one does pastoral like the Shenandoah. Down on the ground, though, things get strange. There are sinkholes, caverns, a natural bridge, encyclopean towers. Layers of limestone have buckled and eroded, erosing fossils from a prehistoric sea. Springs abound, mineral, cool, and boiling hot. Rivers gush from the grass and plunge back into the earth. Massanutten rises like a horn and forks to hide a valley within the valley, a secret fort. Native Americans hunted game in the Shenandoah. From the mid-1700s, English settlers from Virginia's eastern coast seeped through gaps in the Blue Ridge, while immigrants from Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and Germany poured west through Pennsylvania and south along the Great Wagon Road or up the valley. Like the Rhine, the Shenandoah River flows north. Later arrivals from Africa and Asia add to the mix like fruit in a bun. Ethnic groups remain distinct, but everyone prizes thrift, hard work, and four-part harmony. Joseph Funk published the shape note hymnal Harmonia Sacra here in 1832. Discussion is lively on local matters. English is the only language spoken today, but it preserves old habits and pronunciations. In this respect, like the stone outcrops, the Shenandoah resembles New England more than the Deep South. The song Shenandoah, Knowed the World Over, evokes the charm and beauty of the place. Even the name has a kind of poetry. Derived from native speech, its roots mean shining star and flowing stream. Many variations exist, such as Sharando, Shandon, and Sanindahochta. The song has many lyrics. The gist is a traveler who loves the river and its daughter, but he must leave to cross the wide Missouri, or he left 7 years ago and now he's sorry. The town of Hapsburg was founded in 1750. In 1783, it became the seat of Quatenant County, named for the local tribe. It flourished in the 1800s as a market for agricultural produce and after the Civil War as a manufacturer. By 1900, the Hapsburg Iron Works was the primary employer. It closed early in this century. Poindexter College, a school for girls, is the town's main asset today. Hapsburg is an authentic southern town, regularly included among the top 100 places to reside, and a registered picturesque landmark. The Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau hosts social events. A website has been discussed. Visitors exclaim on the beauty of the setting, with mountain ranges to east and west covered in mature forest. The flowering trees in spring and the red and gold leaves in fall cause traffic jams. Berry Abbey, founded by monks expelled from revolutionary France, offers a peaceful refuge and wine from its vineyard. On a clear day, on the Appalachian Trail, you can see the ruins of a Gilded Age castle built by a Richmond playboy. Darksome Cavern, which runs under much of the town, was discovered in 1893. Declared a municipal catacomb, it is open to the public. To house mill workers and college employees, Hapsburg built row houses, double-deckers, and apartment blocks. Kept in good repair, this housing stock is varied and livable. Gingerbread adorns the humblest dwellings, and front porches are ubiquitous. Throughout America, people once sat on their front porches on a summer evening and chatted with neighbors. In Hapsburg, they still do. Apart from an unsightly sprawl of automobile dealers, motels, liquor stores, fast food, and discount retail on Metzger Road, an area known as the Strip, Hapsburg has resisted change. Built of red brick, with gray slate roofs, white neoclassical columns, and black wrought iron railings of intricate design, no two alike, the town seems to slumber, arrested in time. Steeples punctuate the skyline like exclamation marks. all denominations are represented, and choral singing is a cherished tradition. The ability to read music is second only to respect for the printed word. The Baroque dome of Town Hall plays off the chaste neoclassical courthouse. Cobblestone streets frame Court Square, while Main Street offers restaurants, shops, and art studios in actual 19th century interiors. Mature oaks, beeches, and chestnuts shade the sidewalks. Privet, box, and azalea border lawns. Residents tend their gardens, which yield a profusion of vegetables, herbs, and flowers, especially antique roses. Gardeners compete, and neighbors are quick to point out a broken fence or a weedy bed. The Garden Club participates in Virginia's historic Garden Week each April, when private gardens are thrown open to the public, at least to those who had the forethought to buy a ticket. Walking tours led by volunteers are a sight in the summer months. Sprung from Protestant roots, the people of the Shenandoah have a bias toward truth-telling and plain dealing. In leisure moments, they indulge a taste for stories. Everyone brought their folklore, stored like pieces of old silver among the farm tools, kitchenware, and bed linen. This binocular vision spawned a type of story that sounds plausible, piles on details, refers to actual persons and places, and moves right along. People who live near Hapsburg on Afton Mountain have a knack for telling them. They use a range of gestures, vocal techniques, dialect words, dramatic pauses, and colorful expressions. They can go for hours. How to sort fact from fancy. Margaret Howe, president of the Historical Society, shares a trove of old newspapers, faded letters, and fragile ephemera crammed in manila folders. Garden Club member and genealogist Ella Eulalia Finch has research notes penned in a spidery hand. The monks of Barry Abbey have tattered documents, some dating from the Ancien Regime. The Weekly Vindicator reports in depth on people, events, and things that matter. If all else fails, Tuffer Gibson at the corner store will tell you what really happened.
Bake Sale Imbroglio. The annual Interfaith Bake Sale, a fundraiser for the work of the Quinnipiac County Interfaith Ministry, was marred by accusations of foul play. Cecilia Gross, who was present at the scene, still fumes indignantly. One of the participants stole the recipe for my double fudge squares, substituted a key ingredient, and palmed off the results to an unsuspecting public. Debbie Placeholder denies that she borrowed or altered the recipe for her contribution. That card was in my mother's kitchen recipe box from time immemorial. The best of my knowledge, she got it from her mother. The handwriting is beautiful, if hard to read. Grandma favored a purple ink, which is faded, not to mention a few drips and splashes. You have to expect these things in a working kitchen. Now, it's true that I have experimented over the years, added walnuts or pecans, a sprinkle of nutmeg, and on one occasion, a dash of rum. But you can't beat perfection, and everyone who has tasted them agrees. My bountiful brownies are a chocolate lover's dream come true. If Cecilia Gross thinks for 1 minute that I need to imitate her insipid concoction, I just feel sorry for her. All the evidence was brought and taken home or consumed on the premises, so an impartial taste comparison is no longer possible. Mrs. Placeholder and Mrs. Gross have competed in culinary events in the past. They scored first and second, respectively, in the county fair, pie crust trials, and the holiday cookie plate sponsored by the Friend of a Friend Club, which was a scene of similar fracas at odds with the festive tone of the occasion. The two ladies belonged to rival church congregations, Mrs. Gross to Lane Presbyterian and Mrs. Placeholder to Brickfront United Methodist. A true evangelist, the later issues an open invitation. Everyone is welcome at Brickfront. It's the Lord's house, not mine. See the calendar online for the next bake sale, or just slip on by Sunday morning. Always have coffee and homemade refreshments after the service. Remember, Methodist begins with
Granite Jesus. If you blinked, you may have missed it, but a statue of Jesus briefly stood in the front yard of a private home facing the First Baptist Church. Life-size, executed in gray granite in a rough modern style, the sculpture was titled Rugged Redeemer. The sculptor was Denny Hammer, who describes himself as a semi-retired welder and full-time cogitator. Hammer, still vigorous at 67, sports a wide grin and a full head of salt and pepper hair, which he wears in a brush cut. You know that Patsy Cline recording of Just a Closer Walk with Thee? For a long time, I thought the next line was Granite Jesus instead of what it really says, which is Grant it Jesus. Patsy Cline was from Winchester, not far from here. Anyway, after Lousy Lou Parkett, that's what I call him, he's my buddy from way back, even after Lousy Lou called my attention to the actual wording of the song, I thought, what the heck? Graveyards sometimes have a statue of Jesus, except they make him look wimpy, all meek and mild, not exactly a masculine interpretation. I've got time on my hands and stone-cutting tools. How hard can it be? Let's make a statue that expresses the working man's point of view, something no nonsense. Maybe I also heard the old rugged cross in my mind. Despite this hymn-inspired tale, Hammer's statue was seen as a provocation. In a fiery sermon delivered on the Sunday after it was unveiled, Pastor Jesse King denounced it as an abomination in the sight of the Lord and cited the second commandment, "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image." From the pulpit, King demanded its immediate removal without specifying how or by whom. During the night, the statue vanished without a trace. "It was on my property," Hammer says. "Nobody breathed a word to me or wrote a letter to the editor or said, 'Move that thing.' By now it's probably been recycled as riprap. I'm not a member of any church, never was or will be. My wife Irene belongs to the Methodists. It's too bad some religious types are narrow-minded. I have nothing against them, besides the fact that they despise reason. They've got some great songs."
Interesting condition. Blair Wolfram, interior designer and wife of securities analyst Eric Wolfram, is in what used to be called an interesting condition. The couple wedded some years ago, but this will be their first child. Wolfram, who has decorated the homes of friends and junior league acquaintances, says she is as surprised as anyone by the news. The Silver Spoon Project, the restaurant on Main Street that's getting a makeover, kept me so busy when I felt queasy in the morning and moody, and everything seemed to smell. I paid it no mind. Then clothes felt snug, and people made comments about my tummy. My husband, Eric, whom I adore to distraction, said something about putting on weight. It wasn't like him to notice, so I got to wondering. Finally, after my regular checkup, Dr. Laverne smiled in a funny way and said, "Congratulations." "For what?" I asked, and she broke out laughing. I was 4 months pregnant, and I had no idea. A woman who maintains a healthy weight and body image, Wolfram adds that she and her husband had been trying to have a baby without success. They consulted a reproductive specialist in Alexandria last year. The doctor said we were perfectly healthy. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw, and we should keep trying. So we did. I honestly don't know what made the difference. Scented candles, the prayer group at St. Giles, the exercise class, but I can tell you that we are both pleased. Eric showers me with attention, which makes me uncomfortable, and everyone treats me like someone special, which I certainly am not. The Wolframs emptied a small bedroom of accumulated odds and ends. In a whirlwind weekend of cleaning, painting, curtain hanging, and furnishing, they created a nursery as bright and as playful as a magazine spread. The mother-to-be is eating and resting in snatches. She says she can't slow down. My goal is to get the Silver Spoon finished and open for business before the baby drops.
Hats off. After 65 years purveying the finest in men's clothing and accessories, Popinjays will shut down after the holiday season. Located on Main Street, the haberdashery has been a fixture in local retail, but store owner Jacob J. Popinski says the time has come. I'm not as young as I was despite appearances, and men don't dress like they used to. Suit and tie, crisply ironed shirt, shined leather shoes, and creased felt fedora. Don't get me started on hats. When was the last time you saw a man wearing a decent hat? I worked part-time while I finished high school, kind of a runt. I was no good at team sports. I went to the movies and tried to imitate the stars, how the leading men acted and what they wore. I hung around the men's shop, as it was called, so much they offered me a job, sweeping floors and lugging piles of clothes. I was a high-energy kid, full of ideas. From the open door, I'd talk to people in the street and say something cute. If I could lure them inside, I could sell them something. At age 18, I started work full-time. Mike Worsted was the owner, a heavy man, older and very traditional. He let me pick up what I wanted to wear from the stock, so long as it stayed clean and saleable. A late bloomer, I eventually grew to size medium. Now here's a fact you might not know. Store dummies generally wear jacket size 40 regular, exactly what I wear. So call me a dummy or a male model, take your pick. 7 years on, Mike wanted to retire. We finagled a deal for me to buy the business in installments. He had taught me all he knew, and we had a mutual trust in each other. The year was 1969, when other men my age were rioting on campuses and protesting Vietnam. Little did I know what the 70s would bring, but we had a prime location and a stable economy. The customer base was lawyers, doctors, and teachers. Remember how college and high school teachers always wore a jacket and tie? I had to stay inside near the cash register, so I started the window displays as a way to engage. Pumpkin heads on the dummies at Halloween, Santa in a tailored business suit, rabbits coming out of hats at Easter, the summer beach party. People still talk about the courtroom trial scene and the black tie, black eye. The name change was another tactic. It's a variation on my name with a carefree, snazzy sound. I coined the slogan, "Pop into Popinjays." It slipped into common parlance, though people popped in less and less. I toyed with diversifying the product line, sportswear, casual, but my heart wasn't in it. Employees came and went. None had the drive to replace me. The lease is up for renewal, and I can't see how to make a profit. Ella Eulalia Finch is entitled to whatever she can get in terms of rent. She just won't be getting it from me. Popinski will remain in the area, he says. I married the store, but I have plenty of nieces and nephews. I intend to be the best uncle within a 50-mile radius and dress sharp till the day I lie in a coffin.
Bronze plaque. Several older women dressed in floral print dresses, wide-brimmed hats, rubber boots, and thick gloves gathered around a trafficked island planted with flowering bulbs. Members of the garden club, the women wielded an assortment of hand tools. Amid the spring blooms rested an object draped in a sheet. For safety's sake, the event was timed for mid-morning after rush hour. Officer Norman Coles of the Habsburg Police was on hand, just in case. Traffic slowed to a crawl, and curious drivers peered at the gathering. Was it an anti-war protest, a stunt for income, tax preparation, an appeal to charity? A banner rippled in the light breeze. No bucket for contributions. The women stood in the roadway because there was nowhere else to stand and turned their backs to the passing vehicles. A straggler joined the group at the last minute. With all present and accounted for, longtime Garden Club member and past president Ella Eulalia Finch pulled up the sheet to reveal the bronze plaque set in the block of stone. She spoke briefly without a megaphone. Her voice carried easily. We dedicate this memorial to Mrs. Constance Jennings, known to her many friends as Connie May. Her example and civic-mindedness were an inspiration to all, and her energy spurred those inclined to droop. She will be sorely missed. Mrs. Jennings had the idea of planting flower beds at street intersections, median strips, and roundabouts, what she called a road island. They delight the casual visitor as well as the full-time resident on a daily basis, at least during the warm months of the year. She was not afraid of getting her hands dirty, and she was equally fearless in persuading others to help. Everyone here can testify. You don't say no to Connie May. The daffodils, tulips, daylilies, and mulch are funded by private donations, not to mention the volunteer labor. This memorial also required no taxpayer money, though it is located in the public right-of-way. Some citizens are likely to grumble, and we all know who, but as Connie May said, in the course of her relentless campaign to beautify our town, you can't please everybody.